So I was doing some lighting tests for a shoot that's coming up this weekend. I figured since I have the lighting and everything set up anyway, I should just go ahead and do a quick video blog because I haven't touched base in a little while. So I'm actually recording this today with some new equipment. So I might have gone on a spree the last few weeks. To be honest, there's just some things that I needed that I've been putting off getting, and I have a couple of shoots coming up this weekend that kind of necessitated me actually purchasing some new items. One of them is a new Rode VideoMic, which is up here, but you can't see it, and that's the way that boom mics work. This Rode VideoMic is a good run and gun mic. Also, seeing how it works as just a regular boom mic, it actually, I think, is working pretty well. I have it about 18 inches away from me. I did some tests earlier with it about 21 inches away, and it was still picking up really strongly. I'm just running it through my Zoom H4n audio recorder, which I use for pretty much everything. I do interviews on it. I do my sync sound on it. I've been using it for years. It's one of my favorite things ever. If you've never seen it, it looks like this. The lighting's a little harsh right now. The test I was doing was actually, it'll be in a dark venue. I just wanted to see what I could do with some filtered light, so I just have a single LED panel that's going right now. That's actually at like max brightness. It's being diffused by a big diffuser panel, which is like a really big diffuser panel. If you guys haven't seen this 54-inch 5-in-1 newer diffusion panel / reflector, it's stupidly big. I should have gotten a smaller size. But on the flip side, I have now these big panels that in theory I could also use as backdrops and things like that. So that's cool. My house is kind of a mess right now because I'm getting all my stuff together for this weekend, shooting a pilot for a web series that I don't know if the co-producer, co-creator wants me to talk about it or not, even though him and I have gone back and forth fairly publicly on Facebook about it, but in very vague ways. So I'm not going to talk about it yet. That's going to be a lot of work. We'll see how that goes. Saturday, I'm shooting at least one interview for the documentary I've been working on, which I registered the treatment for it with the WGA. I built a website for it. After this interview this weekend, and after I do this shoot on Sunday, my next thing I'm going to do is to put together the kind of rough teaser trailer type thing, and then I'll make a formal announcement about it. One of the things that's been happening along the way as I acquire more equipment and get more experience doing what I'm doing is that the quality of the footage is getting better, but then it's making the earlier footage look worse. In the case of this documentary, I think that it's okay because it's different subjects, different locations. You know, when it's all chopped up and bits and pieces, it won't be as bad, right? Because you'll be kind of quick cutting between people's quotes and B-roll and all that stuff. But, you know, when I'm looking at it, I look at like something I shot like 2 months ago and I look at something I shot last week and I go, oh my God. It's just part of the process. It's just like my comics. Like the Utopian Volume 2 came out last week, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. When I have a collection, the stuff in the back looks great, but when I go back to the stuff at the beginning, I'm like, oh, that's just the way life is, right? Like we get better with practice. And in the case of something like a comic strip that runs for 6 years, you see the practice happen literally like over the course of time, and you don't really notice the improvement until you get to the end, right? And you put it all together and you go, oh, here's one body of work, but it looks like you can see the progress. And that's fine. It's not like the earlier footage I shot was bad. I just at one point was going and trying too hard for like really perfect 3-point lighting and all this stuff. And I'm trying to get a more kind of a natural vibe the further I get into this project. And any projects, even this thing that we're doing on Sunday. Yeah, I'm messing with lighting and stuff just because you know, I just want the subjects to be lit decently. But ultimately, you know, I want it to feel very organic and very natural. And the spot that we're shooting in is already visually very interesting, so there's really not a lot that I need to do to it. I feel like there's a lot going on. I was in Vegas for 2 days earlier this week. I'll be back in Vegas this weekend. Friends of mine who are watching this, if you see that I was in Las Vegas, or if you see I was in the town you live in after the fact, and I didn't tell you about it before, please don't feel butthurt. Generally, when I travel, I'm doing it because I'm working on projects like this, or I'm going to a conference, or I'm going to a comic book convention. So like, I'll be in Denver in a couple weeks. I'm gonna be there for one day until I go into a convention for like 3 or 4 days. I don't have like time to hang out with people. I don't usually have that time, and usually it's on the fly and I don't know until the last minute. And when I'm not like at the convention or doing the shoot or doing whatever, I'm doing the prep for it. Or I'm trying to catch up on sleeping, which, you know, has been getting harder lately as I keep ramping up. Being a one-man production crew has been invigorating and exhausting at the same time, because also there's all of the logistics, right? There's coordinating people's schedules, and there's paperwork, contracts, and all that stuff. I wouldn't do this if I didn't love it. Kind of like anything else, like I've done with comic books and like I've done with music. All the things that I love to do that require a lot of time or skills or financial investment and don't pay back. I was watching one of my favorite YouTubers today, Peter McKinnon. He's a photographer and videographer, does amazing work, very engaging and inspiring guy. And he's Canadian, of course, so he's super nice. I don't know, I'm sure that there's not nice Canadians, but I've never met a not nice Canadian so far. In a recent video, he was basically saying that, like, if you don't have the passion for this or any kind of creative work, you're not going to stick it out. You're not going to do it. The financial reward comes after the passion and after the talent and after the time. The rewards are there in and of themselves, and if the financial rewards come out of that, then great. And thankfully, I'm used to not getting paid for things I love to do, so I'm cool. I have to go and do some more prep for this weekend. I gotta send out a new shooting schedule. I've got some contracts to draw up and all that sort of fun stuff, so I'm gonna go do that. Thanks for watching. If you watched this whole video, you're amazing, and if you only watched part of it, you probably had a lot better things to do with your time, and I can't blame you.